All right. So are you ready to jump into the world of electric vehicles? We're going to tackle NIO and Rivian.
Okay.
Which one should you actually put your money on?
Yeah.
Short term, midterm, long term? What are we thinking?
Yeah, it's the question everyone wants answered, right?
Exactly.
I think to really get to the bottom of this, we really need to understand what is actually driving their growth potential,
Right.
where they stand in the market, and are those projections you see, are they actually realistic?
You know what's so interesting about these two is on the surface, they seem like they're on totally different planets.
Yeah.
You've got NIO absolutely killing it in China. They delivered over 107,000 vehicles just this year.
It's incredible.
And then you've got Rivian here in the U.S. going for those higher priced trucks and SUVs.
Yeah, and it is fascinating how those core markets are shaping their strategies.
Yeah.
China's EV adoption is just exploding, it's unbelievable. And that's driven in part by, government incentives,
Right.
this huge push for cleaner transportation. And NIO's riding that wave really well. But, the question is, can they keep it up?
Right. And will those higher price tags that Rivian is putting on their vehicles, will that help them or hurt them?
I think Rivian is hoping to tap into that sense of exclusivity,
Yeah.
brand loyalty, but those higher prices are definitely going to be a hurdle for some buyers.
For sure, especially when you look at what NIO is doing with the whole battery swapping thing.
Oh, yeah.
Over 1,500 swap stations in China already.
Yeah.
They're tackling range anxiety head on.
It's brilliant.
It's so smart.
Instead of waiting hours to charge, you can swap your battery in minutes.
Yeah.
It's a total game changer.
And then the battery as a service model, the BaaS.
Yes.
I mean, that's really smart too.
Oh, it's so clever. Instead of owning the battery outright, you subscribe to it.
Right.
It lowers the upfront cost of the car, and it creates this consistent revenue stream for NIO.
Yeah.
That's the kind of innovation that, investors love.
For sure. And speaking of things that get investors excited, Rivian has those big partnerships with Amazon and Ford. Does that give them an advantage, just resources reach all that?
Potentially. Those partnerships could be huge.
Yeah.
Amazon's logistics network, Ford's manufacturing expertise. I mean, that gives Rivian access to things that other startups could only dream of.
Right.
But, resources alone don't guarantee success.
Okay, let's talk numbers. Because NIO's revenue is really impressive,
Yeah.
but they're not profitable yet.
Yeah. And that's where things get really interesting.
Yeah.
They're spending a ton of money on R&D, on expanding their charging networks, scaling up production. It's expensive, but it lays the groundwork for massive future growth. Investors need to decide, are they in it for the long haul?
Yeah. And speaking of long haul, you look at Rivian's financials, and they are burning cash
Oh, yeah.
to scale up production. So how long can they keep this up?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a valid concern. They've got a decent cash reserve right now,
Yeah.
but they need to start generating revenue
Yep.
and get those costs under control if they want to be around for the long term.
Yeah. And their stock prices, NIO's down 38% this year.
Okay.
Rivian is down 51%.
Wow.
So what is going on?
I mean, well, the whole market slowdown definitely plays a role.
Sure.
But there are company-specific concerns, too. Investors are getting a little nervous about NIO's path to profitability
Okay.
and whether Rivian can actually meet those ambitious production targets they've set.
So are these dips like a buying opportunity, or is this a sign of trouble?
Yeah.
Let's look at the growth projections and see if we can get a clearer picture.
All right.
So NI's projections, pretty good.
Yeah.
They're aiming for consistent growth around 23.7% per year.
Okay.
They want to more than double their revenue by 2026.
Ambitious.
The catch is they're not expected to be profitable until after that. So are investors willing to wait?
Yeah, that's the big question.
Now, Rivian's projections are all over the place.
Really?
Yeah, they range from negative growth to over 129% growth by 2026.
Wow, that is a huge range.
Why is there such a wide range of possibilities?
Well, it comes down to a few things. Can they actually scale up production to meet demand?
Right.
Can they get a handle on their costs?
Yeah.
And will that premium pricing strategy actually pay off in the long run?
So many ifs.
Yeah.
So that makes them a higher risk, higher reward investment.
Right.
But how do they stack up against the big players in the industry like Tesla and BYD?
Yeah.
Can they carve out their own space?
It's a great question. And, we can't talk about NIO and Rivian without acknowledging the elephant in the room, Tesla.
Right.
Right? They're aiming for 35% annual growth.
Wow.
Their focus is mass market appeal, cheaper models.
Okay.
And then you've got BYD. They're already outselling Ford and Honda.
So it's a tough landscape.
Yeah, very competitive.
Where do NIO and Rivian fit in?
Well, NIO is really focused on China. It's the biggest EV market in the world,
Yeah.
which gives them a major advantage. And they're starting to branch out into Europe as well.
Okay.
But can they replicate that success in new territories?
Right.
Rivian's got a tough battle in the U.S.
Yeah.
Tesla's already got a strong foothold here.
So they've got challenges,
Hmm.
but what are they doing to try and come out on top?
Well, Tesla's all about volume and cost reduction.
Yeah.
NIO is sticking with that premium segment and global expansion.
Okay.
Rivian is focused on strategic partnerships.
Okay.
And, they're going after those niche truck and SUV segments.
So many different approaches.
Yeah,
Which one's going to win?
that's the big question. It really comes down to execution.
Yeah.
And can they adapt as this whole EV market evolves?
Right.
It's a dynamic landscape. There are new players and technologies popping up all the time.
So NIO is riding that China wave.
Yeah.
But can they replicate that success?
Yeah.
And Rivian is taking a gamble with those premium trucks, but if it pays off, the rewards could be huge.
That's right. And that's the dilemma for investors, isn't it?
It is.
NIO has a proven track record in a booming market.
Yeah.
But they're still spending a lot to fuel that growth. Rivian has the potential to disrupt the truck and SUV segment.
Yeah.
But they need to prove that they can scale up and they need to become profitable.
They do. Okay, let's talk a little bit more about those growth projections, especially those revenue numbers.
Okay.
You mentioned NIO's aiming for that steady 23.7% annual growth rate.
Yes.
To more than double their revenue by 2026.
It's ambitious, but achievable, I think.
And some analysts are even more bullish about NIO's 2024 revenue.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're predicting close to 30% growth.
Wow.
They're tapping into that demand for premium EVs in China.
Right.
And that battery swapping tech is creating a loyal customer base.
It's a smart strategy.
But profitability is still a big question mark.
It is.
They're not expected to be in the black for a while.
Right, because they're investing so heavily in their expansion,
Right.
both in China and in new markets like Europe.
Yeah.
But, their battery subscription service,
Yeah.
I think that has the potential to be huge in the long run. Creates a recurring revenue stream, which investors love.
Okay, so short-term pain for potential long-term gain.
Exactly.
Now, those Rivian projections are wild.
Yeah, we talked about that.
Negative growth to over 129% by 2026.
It's a huge range.
How do we make sense of that?
It's high risk, high reward classic scenario.
Okay.
Rivian's success really hinges on a few key things.
Like what?
First, they got to ramp up production to meet that demand for those trucks and SUVs.
Yeah.
There's a lot of hype,
Yeah.
but they have to deliver.
Right. Execution is key.
Absolutely.
And they have to do it while managing these really high costs.
Yes, their burn rate is a real concern.
Yeah.
That partnership with Amazon is definitely going to help,
Yeah.
They've got that massive order for 100,000 electric delivery vans.
Wow.
But they need to get those vans on the road and start making some money.
Fast.
Yeah.
And let's not forget about the competition in that market.
Oh, yeah.
The truck and SUV market is getting really crowded
Yeah.
with Ford, GM, even Tesla.
Everybody's getting in on the game.
Yeah.
Rivian's strategy is to differentiate themselves
Okay.
with those premium adventure-oriented vehicles.
Yeah.
They're going for a very specific niche market,
Oh, yeah.
but they'll have to convince buyers that those trucks are worth that premium price.
Yeah. It sounds like their future is packed with a lot of what-ifs.
It is.
A lot depends on their ability to execute those ambitious plans
Right.
and navigate a very competitive market.
Exactly.
So much
But-
uncertainty.
Yeah, but they do have some advantages.
Okay. Like what?
They're not starting from scratch. They've got the backing of Amazon and Ford.
Right.
That's significant.
Yeah.
And they have a visionary CEO, RJ Scaringe.
Okay.
They definitely have the potential to be a major player, but it's still very early.
So we've got two companies with their own strengths and weaknesses,
Yeah.
facing a lot of unknowns.
For sure.
What's the takeaway for investors trying to decide hold, buy, sell?
I think it comes down to understanding your own investment goals and your risk tolerance.
Okay.
NIO is definitely the more established player. Yeah.
They've got a clear path to growth in China and beyond, but their profitability timeline is still a little uncertain.
Yeah.
Rivian is riskier,
Okay.
a lot, riding on their ability to execute.
Right.
But the potential upside is significant if they can pull it off.
So NIO, maybe more of a mid to long-term hold.
potentially.
Rivian. Maybe one for those who are comfortable with a higher level of risk.
Right. And a longer time horizon.
Yeah.
But it's crucial to remember that the EV market is still in its early stages.
It is.
There will be winners and losers,
Yeah.
and the whole landscape could change dramatically in the next few years.
That is true. It seems like it's anyone's game right now, which makes it both exciting and a little nerve-wracking.
It does, yeah. And when you're looking at companies like NIO and Rivian,
Yeah.
you have to consider not just the hard data, but also the more intangible factors,
Yeah.
the leadership, the company culture,
Yeah.
their commitment to innovation. Those things can be difficult to quantify.
Yeah. But they can make a huge difference in the long run.
Right. So it's about looking beyond just the numbers and trying to gauge their long-term potential.
Exactly.
What does the future of the EV market look like?
Right.
And which of these companies is actually positioned to not just survive, but really thrive?
That's the question everybody wants answered, right?
Yeah.
Who's going to be leading the charge 5, 10, 20 years down the road?
Right.
We've got Tesla going for that mass market dominance, NIO aiming for that premium segment and global reach,
Right.
and Rivian carving out their niche with those adventure-ready trucks.
But the landscape is constantly shifting.
It is.
New technologies, consumer preferences are evolving,
For sure.
and the competition's only getting more intense.
Absolutely. And that's why it's so crucial to stay informed, to keep learning,
Yeah.
and to never stop asking those tough questions.
Well said. We've given you a lot to think about today, but this is really just the starting point for your own deep dive into NIO and Rivian.
Exactly. Take the insights from our discussion. Do your own research. Dig into those financial statements. And ultimately come to your own conclusions.
Yeah.
There's no one-size-fits-all answer when it comes to investing.
The best decisions are the ones you make with confidence based on, a solid understanding of the market and your own financial goals
Exactly.
and your risk tolerance.
Hey.
So keep exploring, keep learning, and keep those wheels turning.
Well said. And that wraps up our deep dive into NIO and Rivian. We hope you found informative and insightful, and maybe even spark some new investment ideas. Until next time, happy investing.
Happy investing.